we gave this talk on the power of provocation, and the reason why we were interested in provocation is that companies and businesses and organizations, they're all formed around an idea. And once that idea is sort of created, sometimes that idea is so cool, it's so new to the world, it's an innovative idea that an organization is built around. And then over time, the organizations, their job is to just make this idea, like just expand it as much as they can and get it to as many people. And a certain mindset forms where over time, no one really actually asks some fundamental questions, which are like, why do we exist as a company? What do we actually do? And what happens is that you can kind of go on forever with an idea, but the world changes really quickly. And suddenly that idea that seemed really good 10 years ago, 100 years ago, 50 years ago is no longer relevant. Because I remember I was actually at the conference in San Francisco where the idea for Airbnb came. A couple of RISD kids were trying to go to this design conference and they couldn't get a hotel, so they end up basically putting air mattresses in their apartment and the other kids would stay there. So that was the basic idea. So it's the kind of thing where when Airbnb became a thing, the Marriott and the Hyatts and the Hiltons and all these hotels were like, what is this? Like, how did this happen? Because you know that there was nobody, in a meeting in Marriott in 2007 that raised their hand and said, I have a question. Why do we sell rooms? Like, why do we own hotels? Like, why do we build hotels? Like, you would never have challenged that fundamental premise because that's the fundamental premise of the entire hotel industry. So we think that provocation is basically a way for any organization or any company or actually any individual to rather than have something like this happen to them where now they're scrambling to figure out, well, what do we do? But to do that for yourself, to use provocation to make yourself the disruptor instead of the disrupted. That's, for me, one of the reasons why I think provocation is so cool, because if we get hired by a client, no matter what industry they're in, they could be in the credit card industry, they could be, a gas utility, they could be a health insurance company. The fundamental question I think we have to ask them is like, well, why are you here? Like, if you disappeared tomorrow off the map, would anyone notice? Why do your customers actually care about you? Why do people buy your products? And without understanding fundamentally what the why there, you're almost lucky to be in business. But once you understand what that is, and you're always delivering and create, your products and services are all built on exactly what people want and what they care about, then you will always be relevant and you will always have a reason to exist. So that's what a provocation to me does.